But it's an interesting topic, and the only reason it kind of like the only reason it was such a like a fire in me for the reason I posted that was because I mean, like, it was, he showed this game, he showed that 9-minute trailer, and then afterwards, like, no other creator can get away with, hey, by the way, some game in the future, making, like, you know, whenever I'm done with this one, I'm gonna make, I'm gonna make this other game, and it's gonna be so great, and I know it's gonna be great because it's me, I'm Kojima, I'm making this great game.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like old, like Lost era J.J. Abrams. You know, like it reminds me a little bit of that, which, like, I mean, we all know how that went.
Right. But it's interesting because at this point, he's got this, like I said, he's got this big bubble of like clout and like avant-gardism around him. And also he doesn't work for anybody. So it doesn't matter if he fails or not. If he fails himself, but he'll never see it as a failure. And I think he's so blown out when it comes down to like his level of clout that he really can. He's the type of like creator at this point that could tape the banana on the wall and everyone would be like, what does it mean? It's amazing. The mechanics is great. Like, I don't understand it. And like, okay, cool. But it's not a good game. Like, there's so many other independent developers out there that are like pushing the boundaries in a different way.
Yeah, sure.
That's kind of what that's my like, really, man? Like,
I feel though like you're also
isn't deserved at this point.
I feel like you're also just latching onto his most diehard, right? Like, there were a lot of outlets that criticized Death Stranding for being
right?
Like, he's not getting this sort of like universal critical pass that I feel like it sounds like you're saying he does. Like,
you're right. But I think what's interesting is I remember when the game came out, and I remember seeing all these like not negative reviews, but definitely the critique reviews. Like the reviews of like, what is this? This isn't fun. Like what? Like what's going on here? And so we saw all these videos and commentary, but it didn't matter because what his next appearance on camera, everyone was like, oh my god, it's Kojima. I'm like, isn't this the guy that just made that video game that everyone was like, it's a freaking walking simulator? It's like the Amazon delivery of the game.
It's still interesting though. Like, that's the thing. Like, it's still something that's more interesting to talk about than Call of Duty.
Oh yeah, no. But what about all the other like video game creators that are actually making really cool independent games? Like,
I mean,
a lot of those don't get
that game. You can talk about both.
You can. I feel like there's just like this guy. I don't know if Kojima's level of stratospheric rise on every company. Like, apparently every company wants to work with him. Every major company, Sony and Microsoft both want.
Except for Nintendo.
Well, Nintendo is like, we'll take your streaming version of the game.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's as warranted as it is. Like, he definitely has.
I think that's fair. I think
he's got the pedigree. He's got the years of experience. I mean, 40 years in the industry, totally deserved.
Yeah.
So I guess when you get, like I said, when you get high enough and old enough, you really can't do no wrong. But I will say,
developer emeritus at this point, right? Like he's got that carte blanche, that blank check, and he's gonna do with it what he's gonna do with it.
He's gonna do what he do with it. But I like I said before the show, we were talking like how there's specific other developers that don't get that. Like, I remember we used to have them. Like, Peter Molyneux was definitely one, and I remember he was pushing the boundaries, was trying to be weird as well. Remember when he went on stage and had that with that little kid?
Yeah. Oh yeah, with Kinect.
And it was like the whole talking and AI and how he was like.
The problem with Peter Molyneux, though, right, is that like his stuff just was not actually that interesting, right? Like, he hyped it up like it was going to be interesting, but then at the end of the day, it's just like an action RPG and like a 6-minute tech demo, right? Like there wasn't anything there. Or like, what was his clicker thing? Do you remember that? Where he was like, everybody in the world's going to click like boxes until like some prize gets unwrapped. It was like this crazy browser game that he did after Kinect.
Really?
It was like his attempt to like come back. I can't remember what the name of this was. I'll have to find it. But yeah,
you're gonna have to find that.
He went.
Peter Molyneux. Peter Molyneux is not on the level of Kojima in any way. But I definitely remember him being like this big name, and everyone was like, "Oh, Black and White was so great." And
I loved Fable. I played all 3 Fable games.
Fable's great. Fable's great. And I was like, okay. But Fable is also one of those games that was ahead of its time, where it had all this ambition of what you could do with choice, and in reality, it wasn't always there. It was like either a good ending or a bad ending.
Right.
Let's kick this off and then we'll talk. Let's go. Hey everyone, welcome to Mid-Geek Crisis. It's Thursday, the 1st of February. January is dead. It has been vanquished. It is over.
Finally. Good
Dear God, January was hard. It kicked me up until like the last minute. Like we had some like water situation in the house yesterday, and I was just like, "Oh, really, man? Like, it's the 31st. It could like you had to give me one more January." But here we are. Tomorrow is Groundhog's Day.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's such a good holiday. I love that.
I was going to ask you, do you pay attention to that in Texas where you don't have to worry about seasons as much?
Not really. It's more of the joke. It's all about the humor of it all. And also, best
is it more of a Bill Murray thing?
Yeah, best time to pull out the Bill Murray memes. Like at this point, it's wasn't Christmas just last week? It feels like it. It feels like it, but at the same time, you already see St. Patrick's Day stuff in the store.
I was gonna say, I feel like honestly, it should be April. Like this was like I felt like every week was like 4 weeks this week.
It was long. It was long. I don't know what it is. I don't know why. And you're not the only one that's saying it. I'm not the only one that's saying it. There was a few people that were just like, this January felt really hard on many people.
I don't know what it was.
I don't know what it was, but here we are. We made it through. And here we are. And for those that get paid on the last day, you made it 2.5 weeks since your last paycheck, because that's how it worked out this month, because the 31st was on a freaking Thursday. So
yep. My company switched its like payroll like vendor, so we had like a double switch where like our cadence was all off. And
man, that messes everyone up. So yeah, it's just a mess. I think the 15th this month or last month was like right before the. Yeah, so the 15th of last month was. I just trying to think about how that worked out. Mm-hmm. So the 15th is on a Monday, and I think I'm not sure if that was a holiday or whatever. So like I think they paid everyone like on the 12th or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So like you got paid on the 12th.
Like
and so
long,
so you went in the weekend with like paycheck, and then you have to deal with the 20th and the 21st the weekend, and the 27th to the 29th as a week. So like 3 weekends on the same paycheck. It's just like living paycheck to paycheck in America, man. I thought what you want to do, but like I can't imagine anyone that isn't like stupid rich at this point isn't dealing like
not feeling it a little bit.
They're not feeling it. Yeah. Paid early, gotta hit that casino. What is this? No one can afford gambling. It's like I gamble every day when I walk into the grocery store. If I'm gonna be able to walk out of there without spending $100, that is gambling. If I can walk out of there without spending a Benjamin, I have already hit gold.
Oh, I mean, that's not. I don't remember the last time I went into a Wegmans and didn't drop a Benjamin. Are you kidding me? Wegmans?
No, Wegmans, man. Is cilantro still like $3.99, like a bundle up there?
Is what still a bundle? Like what?
Cilantro? I remember it was one of my big, like when we moved from.
Cilantro's been okay. It's the eggs, dude. These eggs are still high, man.
Really?
Yeah, these eggs up here, they're still killing us.
But y'all have like Central New York tends to have farms. There seems.
I know. I know.
It makes no sense to me. You guys do have like farms, and chickens will produce even in the winter. So like that's weird to me. Down here, they're not that bad. The eggs are like still like $4, but they drop back down after that weird spike. Okay. Milk, eggs, and bread, or blackjack table. Blackjack table definitely. Look,
if the blackjack table's paying out eggs and bread, I'm
paying
there.
Out. Yeah, I'm there. Yeah, I'm there. But man, yeah. So that's January. I think groceries hit hard on January, and post Christmas hit hard. But here we are. We're in February. And yesterday we had the first like beginning of the like year for video game and geekage outside of CVS and all the other stuff that we've talked about. Sony came out with their first presser, and
state of play.
Yeah, their state of play, their first like direct, their first developer conference, whatever you want to call it nowadays. Like they call it their state of play. And yeah,
Yeah,
was it
what did you make of the show? Like on the
So this
whole?
is interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna talk a little bit about that. So stopped in the last podcast, soda and some stuff. Yep, $40, 30, $40, 4 items. Yep, yeah, absolutely. That's without. I've already said it before. I hate that I hate that I am giving money to someone like Walmart
Sure.
nowadays. But at one point, Walmart was like the big boy, and then now Amazon kind of kicked them to the curb, and now Walmart seems to be kind of almost like a weird retail underdog since all these other retailers are like dying off. There's not many left. How funny is that? I don't know if you feel that, but like I never would say that, but it's like, but Walmart's huge, right? They're all over the place.
Yeah, they own the Broncos, man.
Yeah, they're everywhere. They're huge. They're ginormous. But also, like when you think about retail, you don't have much choice. And then when you go to retail, now a good example is now you want to buy like a DVD or a new movie.
Well, I mean that you're SOL if you want to buy
right. So you can't do that. And then what places do you? Let's say you need I don't know. You're out of.
I mean, around here you got Target and Walmart, and that's pretty much it.
That's all you got. Right. So those are your two big box, and then you only go to Target on the 15th and 15th and 31st of the month because that's when paycheck hits. Because that's the only time you can walk into a Target. Target's big money. Target's big money. You go to Walmart when you want great value stuff.
Can I be honest with you? I have not been to a Walmart since I gamed the GameStop system by turning one game into a PS5 or a PS4 Plus. This was like 5 years ago. GameStop was doing one of those like trade 2 games, get 3 things in,
Yeah.
And there was one game that Walmart was selling at a really low discount that was worth like $20 more than I would have paid for it.
Was it one of those yellow tag clearance section games?
So that was my starter game. I bought 2 of them. Those were my starter games. And then I visited 7 GameStops in the area in a row, trading up gradually until I got to a PS4 Plus or PS4 Pro. It was awesome. Best day of my life. Shout out to Walmart.
I've heard of that. I've done a few of those before, but never that high.
It was a good day.
My story for that would be we went to PAX right at 2020, right before COVID happened.
Yep.
And I had some buddies of mine here in the area that were like, "Oh, Limited Run Games is going to be there," and I was like, "Oh, sure." And I went, and I know Limited Run Games is always got some pretty good, cool stuff. And so I picked up a couple copies of games for friends, and some of them that said they were going to pay me never did. They were like, "Oh, I can't." I'm like, "All right, I'll keep it." So I ended up buying I ended up with 2 extra copies of Celeste.
Okay.
And just to kind of so I have something to show. The Celeste in the Pirate's Curse. I think is the game.
Is it a different Celeste than the one I know?
No, I'm sorry, not Celeste. Oh my God. Shantae.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Shantae and the Pirate's Curse on Switch. I bought I bought them, it was like $39 or whatever, $29 for each copy. And I had a few of them. I had 2 extra. And so I bought them and I put them in my bag and I forgot about them. They were in my travel bag and I forgot about them. Then November hit, right? PS5 time going around. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh yeah, I got these copies of Shantae. And if you go right now on price charting, which I'm doing right now, you can see how much these things are worth. It's stupid. It's stupid high. So
I'm taking a look right now. Oh my God. That's not what I expected to see. Holy crap. Damn, bud.
Yeah. So obviously back when PS5 came out, it wasn't this high yet, but it was still close to $300. Sure. So my 2 copies of Shantae were sold on eBay for my $500 for the PS5. It's like 2 independent. And what blows my mind is like I'm all about physical, and I would totally like to keep that, but I also have like the Game Boy version of this game, the 3DS version of this game on cart, and that one isn't worth that much. It's just because this is the Switch version that makes it really high. And also like the digital version of this game is like a $12 game.
Right. And like less on a Steam sale because it's
yeah. It does. But the physical copy of this game is like $350. It's ridiculous.
There you go.
So yeah. Another just a funny story on that one. Since if you ever run into a copy of Godzilla on PS4. It's an out of print game. Toho is funny with their license, and it got printed, and then they pulled it, and then that was it. They pulled all the DLC and stuff, so you can't even buy like all the extra DLC on the website. But if you ever see that run around, that's a good game, and it's actually a really fun game. It's the last good Godzilla game that came out. So
this is something I'm sure we'll have to save for another day, but I've never gotten into game collection, but I've always been curious about it. I know like that's definitely like been your fort, like you kind of like have been in that space.
It was. I've been in the space for a long time, but I am no longer a collector per se. I buy what I like, and I buy cheap, and I prefer finding a rare gem at like on a store shelf or something than going to a convention or whatever and finding a copy of a game and then dropping like the $200 $300 for a copy of like Earthbound or some crap. Like there's nothing wrong with that. If you feel like it's worth that, then go for it. It's your money. You spend what you want. But there is definitely a level of post-COVID retro hunting where everyone again is trying to make the buck. And so the flipping market became a thing, from Pokemon cards to like the football and sports memorabilia, sneakerheads, everything. Like everything just shot up in value because everyone was just flipping the rarities, and everyone was just trying to find a way to make a buck, and including people that were never even part of the community, part of the retro community. They started hitting up estate sales and all that, which drove the price of all retro like through the roof. So game collecting is hard now. Buy what you buy, keep what you want to keep. It's hard to kind of the days of like saying, "Oh, I'm going to sell a collection and I'll come back to it later. I can pick up another copy of like Super Mario Brothers 3 on NES, for like $5." No, man, it's like a $50 game now. It's like, it makes no sense. It's one of the most popular games and most pressed games out there, but that's how much it's worth. So it's the way it is. But by all means, if you ever want to get into collecting, if you like a console, you like a specific game, whatever, or like let's say you like GameCube. GameCube was like your jam. It was like the one that you remember playing, and you just pick them up. Wherever you see them, just pick up the games and the rarities or whatever. You never know what's going to be worth something at some point.
Yeah. No, I'm excited to chat maybe more about it. Whitney and I, we got our tickets for PAX East this week, so we are officially on our way to PAX East. All right. Should be a good time. I always like checking out like the used game stuff there, but I don't usually get stuff. What I'd love to do is start recovering a little bit of my original Xbox like favorites, like Amped and like that stuff, which I know is generally pretty available, just because they're cool.
Those are that's a good library, and it's up just recently it's just started creeping up in price. But Xbox titles in general, the original Xbox games are fairly
still like in a decent space.
You can still find them in a decent space. They're not too bad. There are some rarities, of course. I think the big one is what is it? I think it's Otogi. Otogi 2. So Otogi 2.
Oh yeah, that's a cool game too.
About $60. Yeah, that one, and then
I think the OG Psychonauts is like going for like $40-$50 still these days.
The Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on Xbox was $113. Those are some high dollar ones that I can remember.
Yeah,
I think they've got their list of like higher price ones.
Okay,
but they're funny games. The systems are pretty high. The platinum. The platinum hits version of NBA Ballers.
Ballers. Nice.
Nice. Outrun. Definitely. The big one of the big ones is Futurama. I remember that one for a fact. Huh. So complete in box. It's about $250.
Well,
But again, that's still not that bad. Wow, Crystal Systems are that much now. Wow, it's ridiculous. Oh man. Anyway, let's talk about the Sony thing. The state of play. That's my state of play in general. But let's talk about State of Play in general. There were a lot of games that came out. January blew. I just saw that. January did blow, man. It was awful.
Yeah, bud.
No. Let's talk about the State of Play real quick because there was a lot there. First off, did you finally sat down and watched it the entire?
Yeah, I sat down and watched it tonight. Yeah, I was working late, pretty much every day this week, so I didn't get to catch up with it until today. But I did catch up with it. Watched all 45 minutes of it.
So, I'm not gonna say anything about it yet. I want to know your thoughts. Like, do you have a PlayStation 5?
I do. Yep.
Okay. So, where would you hold it as your? Do you hold all your consoles, your like your PC and all your Xbox and all that, in kind of the same level? Pretty flat platform.
In terms of like what I play the most, I probably gravitate towards my Xbox the most because of Game Pass.
Because of Game Pass, yeah.
Just because like I like trying stuff out, and that's the best place for you to do that. PlayStation, I go in like shifts on, right? Like if there's a game that I love, and sometimes there is, I'll sink tons of hours on it, and that'll be the only thing I'm playing. Like, I'm trying to think of that, like God of War, Ragnarok when that came out.
So all of the big Sony first party exclusive titles,
first parties, and then some of the JRPGs that like I'm interested in. I just want to give a shot. Like I played Tales of Arise on PlayStation for a little while.
Okay.
Which I enjoyed. Generally, though, I think I'm probably more like a 70-30 Xbox PS5 split. With some PC.
Yeah, so we seem to be very similar on that split. I'm kind of the same way. I think the PlayStation 5 tends to be one of those systems where I think personally my journey with Sony has been that like I was all in with the PlayStation 1. I was like, cool, everyone's PlayStation 1. That's the way to go. And then PlayStation 2 came out, but I was playing like my Dreamcast at the time. Yeah. And then so I jumped on the PlayStation 2 a little later than everybody. I felt there was always kind of this weird animosity because I knew that no one gave the Sega Dreamcast kind of like it's due because the PS2 really kind of just came in and won
obliterated.
But obliterated it. Even though like to this day, like I will boot up a Dreamcast game and I'm like, man, that looks so good. Great. It looks so good. And I'm like,
yeah, I agree.
But PS3 came out, or I had an Xbox as well, and the Xbox really was like, oh, this is interesting. It's weird. It's got a hard drive, and I'm like, it's kind of like I was into PC at the time. I was just leaving, I was in high school, college, starting to, start the workforce and all that kind of stuff, 2001 ish, and it just felt more of a like my age of a console.
Yeah.
And then the 360 came out in 2005, and it was like, this is cool. Like it's got like a hard drive, and it's like they're really pushing this online gameplay, and like, oh my God. And then it's got like it's got HD, it's got component, and it's 720p and all this stuff. So really push it. And then the PS3 came out, and I think Sony's weird hubris, this weird like, ha, we're Sony. It doesn't matter whatever you put out, we're better. $600, like $599.
That was so expensive. That's true. It was so expensive on drop.
Yeah, it was expensive at drop, and like I remember I didn't get one, but I remember a buddy of mine that was all about Sony, and he got one, and I remember he would pick up whatever third party title, like the game that would come out like on 360 and PS3, and I remember him saying, man, the PS3 version of this game sucks, or the PS3 version just runs real slow, or whatever. He always had problems. And then when he got a 360, he was like, oh, it's great. But then of course 360 had the red ring of death and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So that was already
PS3 had that like weird hardware that all the developers had to work around. Like, and that was it. I liked the PS3 quite a lot because I think it had some of the more interesting. I think it was a really interesting era for Sony exclusives.
Yeah.
They weren't necessarily huge blockbusters, but there was a lot of weird stuff on there.
Yeah. Oh no, for sure.
Which was fun. But I definitely I had my 360, and that's where I did the majority of my stuff. And I bought
PS3. And eventually when I did get a PS3, later on, like halfway through its life cycle, I got a Slim. And that's when I started playing things like I think the rise of the indie game. I think, right around where Braid came out on 360.
Right. Which like the Xbox was a big part of.
Yeah. And that was really a big, cool feeling for me as a fan of like developers and whatnot. The idea of like, you had these small independents being able to put out content. Features as long as they don't take them out of the box. So yeah, all of this stuff was just coming out for there was constantly the Xbox Live games. These small independent games are coming out on a weekly basis. And so I really was like, this is kind of a cool way I can pick up these small games for cheap. And I was getting like big value for low price.
Mhm.
And the when I finally did pick up the PS3, I was playing a lot of their smaller titles, like one of my favorites, just off the top of my head, of course, Little Big Planet was a big one.
Yeah, Little Big Planet was great.
Little Big Planet, that the whole franchise is really good. I loved there was a online game, and I'm sure did you ever play Fat Princess?
Oh yeah, yeah. Fat Princess.
I absolutely loved
Yep.
that game. It was like the beginning of like the weird like battle royale kind of gameplay where it was like capture the flag / battle royale, but pixelated, really fun, kind of tower defense style game, capture the flag, really fun. And again, that's a franchise. And you're right. That's where Sony was like really experimenting with like these IPs. They were really throwing out these first party IPs like left and right.
Even their bigger ones that like we don't see anymore. Like that's when Uncharted was really hitting its stride, right? And then also like the Infamous games. I loved the Infamous games.
Yeah, where's more of those? They're gone, but
so good.
Infamous, I mean Killzone.
That's right. Killzone was hitting its stride the PS3 era.
Yeah.
So I mean, I loved the PS3, but I was definitely on the Xbox 360, and then I kind of always got the Xbox console first every generation since the original Xbox. I'm not a fan at all of either necessarily. It's just that's kind of
you felt like your friends list was cultivated there. Maybe like every console had its way to kind of backwards compatible, so you always felt like you at least had something to play. You could always drop a 360 game in your Xbox One. You could always drop an Xbox One game into a Series X.
Compatibility is nice.
Backwards compatibility always felt like it was always there. And Sony felt like they kind of, with the PS4, I felt like they kind of like spit in our face a little by like, hey, you bought all this library of like backwards, classics that they used to have them on the PS3. But none of that was brought over on the PS4.
Yeah.
None of that. They were just like, no, you got to
dealing with that
because they're still dealing with that.
You gotta stream some of those games.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Like, there's no reason why you can't just give me my PS1 game. It's not like the PS5 can't emulate a PS1, right? Like, it's all there. The hardware can totally do it. So, my journey with Sony has been kind of this weird, like, love-hate relationship where, like, I want to play your exclusives.
Yeah.
But I really don't want to give you any more. I feel like I'm not gonna buy the like game that comes out on all systems on you. Because one, you'll charge me $70 for it now, and two, there's just been this like this weird relationship. I feel like Xbox is, because they have been losing to Sony for the past few generations, I feel like they're kind of they're giving me a little more bang for my buck and
like even if it's not in reality, Xbox has always felt like a more open platform. To sort of just like play around on it, because I think I'm right with you where like if it's a multi-platform title, by and large I'm probably getting it on the Xbox.
Yeah, or it'll show up on Game Pass now,
right?
Which is absolutely, like, to this day makes me laugh. That what was it? The show, the baseball game, the baseball franchise, which is a Sony run. It's the only it came out on Game Pass day one because it's the publisher, the MLB was like, we need it in all consoles.
Yeah. Which, can we pause there? Have you ever played MLB The Show?
Yeah.
Because I fired that up, and the last like baseball game I'd played was like Triple Play 1999. And like, it's like, what pitching version do you want? I was like, what do you mean? I just want to pitch. And then everything has become, what's going on?
Yeah, well, everything is all about
I felt so old. I'm like, I'm out. This is for the kids. This ain't for me.
We have, it's not even for the kids. All of the wow. How do we talk about this? This was an interesting one because the jocks, the bros that play video games are actually technical. Like there's level, we have fooled the jocks into like knowing stats, and like they're min-maxing.
Have we fooled the jocks, or have we simply invited them in to beat us up in more places?
Well, yes, but but also like we tricked them by like, hey, by the way, this is all you're essentially playing an RPG. You're just playing Madden. Like
which Madden is crazy complicated these days too.
It is. That's what I'm saying. It's also stats and numbers and min-maxing and just like all of this
reading coverages.
Yeah, exactly. So all of that like strategy. They're playing war games. It's essentially like they're playing Napoleonic like war miniatures on the field.
It's a minis game. That's 100. It is Warhammer.
It is a Warhammer.
Oh my god.
That's exactly. But it's sports. So it's like, ooh, sports. It's cool. I'm not playing any of those like anime games. Like You're being fooled there, buddy.
Anyway, state of play.
Yeah, but no, I'm getting it. We're getting there. We're getting there because Sony in general is just, they are who they are. They have really layered their like style of gameplay in the past few years, and I watched it, and it felt very much like every game was the same game.
Okay,
a lot of them looked interesting. Don't get me wrong, but it was either the anime style third-person action adventure game, so like third person running around, big sword swinging, and like either very fast-paced Call of God of War style action, or very modern RPG like active battle system where it's like you're engaging and there's like you hit them and all the numbers come out and then you're still moving around and all of that. I felt like there was a lot of those. There was a lot of co-op shooters, of course, like Helldivers and all of that still came around. So you still had some like a lot of third-person single-player games still.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that does just feel like what a lot of video games are, period, to me.
Yeah, I mean, I
think I see what you're saying, though. Like, because for me, really, if I think about it, there's probably only 3 or 4 games out of the list that really stand out where I'm just like, oh, okay, I remember that, and I remember thinking that was interesting, and I want to follow up on that. And the rest do kind of fade out for me. I think some of that's just because it's like I'm looking at this, I'm like, this is not for me. Like, right, like Foam Stars is not something I'm probably ever gonna play.
You would say that, but what's interesting about that one out of all of them was like that one had a mechanic that was already very different than all the rest of them, right? Like that one at least stood out because it was Splatoon. It is Splatoon, but it's not Splatoon on Nintendo, right? So you get to have some freedoms with like maybe skins and characters and whatever.
I think
else.
It's going to be this year's. What was that? There was like a dodgeball multiplayer game that came out a couple years ago.
Oh man, that looked really cool, and I played it for a little bit.
I did too. I played that for like probably 10 hours. I think Foam Stars is going to be that. I think that's what Foam Stars is going to end up being.
Yeah,
fine. It's just it's just not going to take up my time. I think for me, the standouts were Stellar Blade.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Because I'm a big character action game fan. I love Bayonetta, love Ninja Gaiden. That genre is like underserved, I think, right now, and I'm excited about a new one. I mean, there's the new VR Metro, which I guess is okay if you're into that. There's the new Ken Levine game, the BioShock creator, right? He's doing Judas. Honestly, I couldn't make heads or tails of that.
Yeah, so yeah, okay. I'm gonna see if I can pull up the trailer for that one. So that one was interesting. That's a good one to start on because this one was cool because it just felt like, wait, is this BioShock?
Yeah.
Are we just playing like? And I saw it was like creator BioShock. I was like, okay, but it's not BioShock. But it's like we have BioShock at home.
Yeah, it's like cyberpunk BioShock is my vibe on it. That's kind of like the vibe it gave me.
I don't know. It still felt like you were down in
Rapture. Yeah.
Is dying. And my only way out of here is with one of them.
Oh, this is a different trailer than what they showed us here.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, it's still interesting. I haven't seen this one. I think. So when I look at this,
so right then and there, that felt very BioShock,
very
like
BioShock.
crushing the life. Yeah.
When I look at this, I feel like what we were talking about before the show started about our boy Hideo Kojima and being like kind of let off the leash.
People say
this feels like what happens when the BioShock creator gets let off the leash. He just does a lot of wild stuff.
They're right.
I mean, maybe it'll be good. What is this? It's like, okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so that looked cool. Was that a reveal trailer? Maybe that was a year ago.
Yeah, that was a year ago. That was the reveal trailer.
Yeah, that was a reveal. So I didn't even realize that.
To be honest, the new one, I don't think it showcased much more than that. Like, it's
Yeah.
different stuff, but I mean,
It was different. It was yeah. This one was like the creator of Bioshock, and I was like,
Hi, Dad. Say hi back. Of course they know. What if I told you that every word you say
it feels like the
is being
pitch
recorded?
is like Bioshock meets
Every thought you've ever had,
Deathloop.
your love,
It reminds me of Deathloop a little bit,
really?
just in terms of the aesthetics.
your hate, were just planted in your brain like weeds in a garden. What would you do for yourself? We both know the answer to that question.
So surveillance state.
You are the frog in a pot, boiling.
We're getting told
Slowly.
we're used.
What's happening. But I'm here to set you free, whether you like it or not.
Heavy-handed metaphors.
Yeah.
The monster designs are cute and funny.
Yeah.
They kind of remind me a little bit of like a Rick and Morty thing.
They do. Or what's that Rick and Morty game? The
High on Life.
Yeah, High on Life. That was cool.
Yeah, the
rebuilding of the hands.
that was cool. That's kind of Bioshocky too, though. Remember, it like reconstituted when you.
Yep. And this feels like kind of like Glass Dome, Rapture.
I mean, we'll see. Like, maybe it'll be good. It seems interesting. I just don't know. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we'll see.
Yep.
I mean, I think out of what we saw, the stuff that got me most excited was the new Death Stranding, because at least it looks interesting to me. The new Dragon's Dogma 2, because I like Dragon's Dogma 1.
Yeah, I saw
I think
that.
that'll
one.
be fun. We didn't see
Although-
much new in it.
Although to be fair, I saw the trailer, and before I couldn't even think about the game Dragon's Dogma, but I was like, "Is this more Monster Hunter?" And I'm like, "Oh, but it's Capcom." I'm
It's
like,
Capcom.
It's Dragon's Dogma. I'm like, Capcom. Like,
And then Stellar Blade. I think those
Stellar
are the ones.
Blade. So that one was an interesting one.
Yeah. Also, the free Silent Hill game that got shadow dropped.
It got dropped yesterday. Like it came out. So so Stellar Blade was what they used to be called Project Eve.
Yes.
So that looked really cool.
Yeah, it looks like another kind of character action game, sort of in the vein of like a Bayonetta or a Ninja Gaiden, or even like a Nier Automata or Automata, however you want to say it.
Yeah. And again, this is back to like third person RPG element, action adventure.
Yeah, character action games.
Adventure games. And I'm like, okay, so we've got another character, but I'm like, that's fine. But I feel like the PlayStation has really said this is what we do. Like, this is the games that we make.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm great with that.
Okay with that.
We don't actually get too many of them on the whole, especially not ones with like really memorable characters that stick. I mean, Nier Automata was like 6 years ago now. And I'm ready for another one. I don't think this is going to be as thoughtful as Nier Automata this year, but it looks cool. I think this is a Korean developer, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Welcome to the world of Stellar Blade.
The action in it felt a little
The
kind of
story
Sekiro-y
begins on
to me, which is
Yeah.
I'm super
where a
into.
mysterious enemy called the Natiba has forced the human race to flee to an off-world colony.
They really went deep on this one too. Like they kind of did
Players will
in
take
the
control of
state of play.
a
They
member
explained a
of the
lot of the
Seventh
world
Airborne
and kind of
Squad.
set a lot of things up.
Yeah. They were like, you're
mission
this
is
is what
to
you're
save the
called.
planet
You're
by
kind of like a
defeating the
messiah,
Natiba.
but like you've got one mission. Here's the
This
enemy.
is gonna have so much sponsored cosplay.
While most of the 7th Airborne
Oh,
Squad
yeah.
was lost during their
Insane.
descent from the colony,
Oh yeah.
Eve soon meets 2 new companions. Adam, born on Earth, is in pursuit of an energy source called hypersol.
Make sure to stay
Adam,
cautious.
6th member of BTS.
It's where the Alpha Natiba is.
So this must be 807.
Lily, a member of the 5th Airborne Squad,
I think
provides
Got
one
a
thing
pixie
that has-
haircut, cute.
Uh-huh.
Cute.
Why
cute character with freckles. That's going to be 100%
She puts her
cosplay.
technical knowledge
Yep.
to use by
100%.
updating Eve's equipment throughout the game.
One thing that I liked, so I was watching this with my wife, and
Done.
she sort of like
Something
immediately was like, "Oh,
is
this
really
character reminds me of
different.
like a dragonfly," and I feel like the kind of green, the like hair, the way the wings flew out. I think it's interesting,
This
right?
is
Because
Zion,
good character action
city
games always
built
have that really
underneath the
memorable
wasteland where the
at-a-glance
last
kind of like
human
silhouette,
survivors
right?
are
Like you know Bayonetta immediately.
Yeah.
You know Ryu Hayabusa
Eve is
immediately.
called Angel
So
for
I,
the
that felt good to
and
me. I
is
was
an
like, okay,
object
cool.
of
We
both
got something. I
Yeah,
can
you
do.
immediately you could pick this. You could pick this particular
They'll seem a bit
anime
worried at first, but will gradually
female
loosen
out
up
Yeah.
as
from a
we
crowd.
show
You're immediately going to know
them
that this is
rebuilding the
when
city.
honestly they've that's kind of what I was getting at is a lot of the games and a lot of these protagonists and antagonists have become very they bleed together. I couldn't tell you if they were part of Xenoblade or
Yeah.
or
right.
what character what because it's now become the thing where like let's have an RPG but let's add like 15 different characters in it
Yeah.
because
Their
you have to hit
requests
all
will
of the
also
like
lead her to the wasteland and
all the
Great
stereotypes
Yeah.
like the persona.
Kind of
style.
like the Hoyoverse stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Road. This place has been overrun by nativas.
I think one of the things I liked about this preview was it
malfunctioning
didn't
machines and
showcase a ton of
robots.
RPG stuff at all.
It didn't.
It was really just focused on story and action.
A supply camp.
Wait, how many outfit changes does she have though?
You'll
A
be
lot
able
in
to
this
find
game. So
supply stations set up by
I
previous
feel like
airborne
that's like a
staff.
lot of that customization is going to be in here, which
Now,
is
do you
why I
think-
say
do you
it's
think the
gonna be
customization
amazing.
is like
Eve can purchase
actual,
various
like-
consumable items.
there's a reason for it? Like, is it going to be armor?
Acquire new skills.
Like,
I mean,
stats?
I-
No?
I think this is squarely in the Bayonetta fan
Upgrade
service
equipment.
space.
and more.
I mean, maybe there will be stats with it.
She can also take a well-deserved break to restore her health.
This looks so much like Nier Automata to me.
Yeah. Also, like,
Eve will
every
also
game has to
become
have a little
equal in
crafting, a little,
Another
a
new
home
little
base.
cozy home base building.
Yeah.
Now-
Whether to assist or ignore them is entirely up to the player.
Yeah, and there's some like interactions with like
On her
townsfolk as
journey to
well.
defeat the Elder Nativa,
There's also a
Eve will
little bit of
sometimes encounter
reputation
hostile
building.
survivors,
Yeah.
or
Also,
And then,
the hair physics in this game are absolutely. There's a whole processor dedicated to that.
I was gonna
thing.
say, can you imagine the budget dedicated
Yeah,
to
it's-
just
look at this.
this hair? Look at that.
Just like constant.
What are you going to do after you defeat the Alpha Nativa?
All airborne squad members exist for one sole purpose.
There's a
You
there's a
mean
K-pop group
the
called
extinction of all
Espa
nativas?
that has fully
Right.
digital counterparts.
To think
and she
that the
looks
point of
exactly
your
like one of
existence
them. Oh,
is
really?
to found another species.
It's very funny.
It is not an easy fight.
It's fine. I can do this alone.
It won't be easy.
I'll be curious to see if this is open world or levels as well. Parts of this make me feel like it's definitely levels with like maybe an open hub world.
Yeah, that's what it sounds to me too. Like you go back to your base, you interact with
I
people.
will
Very
find it, and I will make it pay.
very much Midnight Suns.
Yeah,
'Cause you fire off one part of the world, do some mission or whatever, do the story, then come back.
yeah. It's been a while since I played Devil May Cry 2. It's got some Devil May Cry vibes. Nice big bosses.
drone is different.
This is no longer the drone you knew.
Did you ever get into any of those like games very much, like these character action games? Like was that in your wheelhouse?
Some, but like they definitely came out. They started coming out really fast, and there was too many to kind of keep up with for a while there. Looks like there's gonna be like a counter mechanic.
Yeah, parries and counters for sure. Fishing moves.
That yellow outfit she had on just there looked very Kill Bill-esque.
I agree. Yep. So I liked it. I think it like pulled off something that we don't have a lot of in this generation. I really can't think of like what the last.
Also, it's
Big.
dropping fairly soon. April.
I know. Yeah, it's just a few months away. So, I think that was for me the highlight of the show.
Yeah, that
there
was
was a lot of
definitely the
stuff
one.
that faded in the background for me. I don't know. What about you?
Rise of Ronin faded in the background for me. I remember I saw it and I was like, okay, like at one point we didn't have any samurai games, and now there's like 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah, I was sort of bummed about that one.
Sekiro, and then what's the PlayStation one?
We got Neo, and then you
Yeah.
have the Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima,
is
and then you
another
also have the
one.
Way of the Samurai. That's the
Trek to Yomi, which was
Trek
like the
to
side-scroller
Yomi.
one.
Yeah. Just
yeah,
a few of them, and so this one came out and it looked really cool. And the only big difference I saw was that there was like kind of like robots or whatever. Like there was like constructs or like
something more mechy.
So
what I liked about it is I love the setting. I love that kind of just about to be Meiji era Japan.
Yeah, so he's got using like handguns and
yeah, it's just that's such a cool setting to make use of. But honestly, I felt like it looked a little underbaked to me. Like it just didn't feel very fluid, and so I don't know. We'll see what it comes out. See if it works or not. But
who was the developer on this one? Is it another Sony in-house?
It was Ninja Theory.
Was it?
Which normally I'm a big fan of the Ninja Theory stuff, but maybe I'm wrong.
Team Ninja game director.
Or Team Ninja, not Ninja Theory, because Koei Tecmo is on.
Koei Tecmo, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. I really want it to be good because I this kind of like Bakumatsu era is like pretty unusual, but we'll see.
本作の舞台の一つ
It's interesting they
横浜です。
lead off with like a very Assassin's
19
Creed
世紀
feeling
幕末
opening.
の
Yeah, it did. Like they showed the bird, and then like this landing, like, oh, here's your point, and like, oh, let's climb buildings,
Grappling and all that.
let's get to a high point real quick so that we can assess where we're at.
主人公は鍵縄を使っ
Yeah,
て
little glider.
屋根の上に登ったり
Yeah, immediately you set the tone that this isn't 100%
高所から
realistic,
滑
right?
空し上空を移動す
Yeah,
ることも可能です。
I mean, it looks pretty great from here. Like visually, I think it's a good looking game.
Freaking Link, he just called like
攻撃
Epona,
を
and
駆使しながら敵の攻撃を石火で弾いて体勢を
This combat
崩
reminds
す
me
こ
a
とも可能
lot
で
of
す。
Ghost of Tsushima.
yeah, the combat reminded me of Ghost of
敵の
Tsushima.
武器と相性の
Little,
流布と
what's the other? What's that big sword play game that everyone liked that was online play, or it was like Knights?
Oh, For Honor.
For Honor. There we go. That's the one.
Yeah.
Very much so. It feels like it's you could probably KO someone with 1 or 2 hits. Very Bushido Blade style.
Yeah.
That guy should not have gotten up after that. So yeah. And then when I saw this, I was like, oh, okay, so we've now got some weird like maybe demon,
Some kind of monster sort of situation.
Oni, demon,
Yeah.
possessed.
戦闘では日本刀や
Very,
長槍以
very
外に
like reminiscent
海
of
外からもたらされた単銃などさまざまな武器が使用できます。発明家である伊賀七と因縁を深めるとさまざまなからくり装置を入手できます。トリビ砲は伊賀七
I
が
mean, they
作
did
った
come
からく
together
りで
well. I like a lot of the
現代の
elements
火
here.
炎放射器のよう
It
な
just-
強力な遠隔武器です。
I don't know.
トリビ砲や和洋折衷のアクションである銃剣な
It
ど
feels almost kind
西
of
洋の技
quiet.
術を生かした武器を
Like
うまく活用すれば強敵にも打ち勝つことが
Yeah,
できるの
it,
で
I see what you're saying. It does feel very one-on-one. Like almost
Yeah.
every time he goes into combat, it's like there's not going to be 5 people. It's like you're gonna like engage with one individual every time.
Yeah, I mean, which maybe that'll work well if the combat system feels like that For Honor kind of like mano y mano sort of thing. Like that
Yep.
could work.
It could work.
Um,
So I don't know. That one felt very like maybe they didn't at this point. They're like, oh man, we're coming out after a ton of other samurai games. Like, will we? Like, okay, are we gonna get lost in the crowd or not? So,
Yeah.
I did like the another kind of a surprise one for me was that we got the I guess a remaster, I guess is what we can call it.
Oh yeah, this
of,
was very surprising.
I guess what are they calling it? Sonic X Shadows.
Oh, I thought we were talking about a different remaster, but yeah, no, go for it on this one.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
this-
we'll talk about this
Sonic
one.
X Shadows Generations.
Yeah, so which is one of the better 3D Sonic games. So basically a remaster of Generations, but with more content, I guess, because they're adding Shadow.
So I never played this.
You should pick it up, or if you can play it, I mean, it's on Game Pass, I think, or one of
Okay.
them. And it's a really fun. This game kind of sets the fact that there physically are 2 Sonic like timelines or two Sonic, like modern Sonic and retro Sonic is kind of what they call them.
Okay.
But all of this is new. This wasn't in the original game.
I mean, look, Sonic fans got to eat.
Gotta eat. They gotta eat. And my kiddo was excited for this. He saw this with me yesterday, and he was like, "Ooh!" He's like, "Shadow," and I was like, "Yeah, buddy."
Nice. It's Spider-Man 3 Sonic.
Yep.
I mean, good. Like, it looks like fun Sonic action. Again, one of those ones that's just I'm out of the audience. So
Yep. But it's coming out. It'll be there, and I'm kind of excited for it. So that's something for sure.
Yeah.
What else? There was I mean, that's what I'm saying. There was
remastering Until Dawn, which is surprising because that's just a last gen game or like a late PS3 game. I was surprised by
that was an interesting one.
And then they have Bloober Team is making the new Silent Hill 2, and boy, I know that was controversial. People did not. It seemed like people were not a fan of the Silent Hill 2 trailer.
I have no horse in that race.
Okay.
So, and the reason for that is I played them a long time ago.
Yeah.
Horror is not my genre. It's not
the
one that I gravitate towards playing, mainly because, again, I've said it before, like I always feel like when I sit down and play a video game, I'm in the mood to kind of relax and vibe, and nothing makes me not want to relax like all of a sudden playing a game and like being jump scared for the next 2 hours.
Yeah.
You know, like come on, like more power to you if that's where you want to feel instead of mine, but that's not mine. But at the same time, I've always enjoyed like the mythos and the story and all of that of the Silent Hill games.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, you got to appreciate the kind of world building,
and
it's a pretty unique take on the genre for video games, right? Like, there's no one else really until like kind of, I guess, Amnesia was doing that psychological horror pretty well, but that came much later. And I think what's interesting about Silent Hill 2 here for me is, so it's being made by Bloober Team, right, which is a AA studio, not really a AAA studio. They are probably best known for Layers of Fear, which was a decently well received psychological horror game back in like 2016, I think. And then they made a Blair Witch game, which I think was pretty well received, but also kind of janky. And then their big game was a couple years ago. They made The Medium, which was their first like kind of big original IP.
Yeah, I remember that one. And that one was, I heard there was some good talk. I mean, I didn't hear any hate about that one.
I played it. I enjoyed it. It was cool. It was biting off a lot, like kind of thematically. But it was definitely like had a lot of weak points, right? It was pretty limited in the ways that you could interact with the world. It definitely looked a little under budget. And so when they got a hold of the Silent Hill franchise, people were really kind of trepidatious about it because they were like, all right, I mean, can they really knock this out of the park?
So here's what the narrative I heard online was. People were very weirded about it because they showed a lot of the action about this game. And apparently Silent Hill is not known for that. Like, it's not known for action. There's a lot of running, a lot of flashlight, a lot of
hitting.
But also I think the conversation should be, we live in a post Resident Evil remake world where they've gone back and remade every Resident Evil game like twice over. And so I think this is Konami going, we want to make Resident Evil.
Yeah, but they're not. Because like the Resident Evil games, the remakes, I think they do a really good job of keeping the spirit of what was happening there while updating the gameplay in an interesting way. And it's
but also Resident Evil already had action. Like, that's the thing. It's like Silent Hill didn't have the action. Now they're adding the action. So like, I can see where that's coming from.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And that totally changes the feel of the game. You know, in a way that I can see why fans would feel a certain way. I'm still holding out hope. I did like The Medium. I like Silent Hill. I played Silent Hill 2 and 4. And I enjoyed both those games back when they came out.
Yeah, everyone loves 2. 2 is like everyone's baby, which is interesting. My kiddo was in the car. We were picking up my oldest, and he was watching it with me, and he was like, Silent Hill 2. I was like, yeah, it's a remake. And I'm like, did they remake Silent Hill 1? And I'm like, no, they didn't. I'm like, he's like, well, then why make 2? And I'm like, oh, because people like 2 more.
Yeah, I mean, that's really it. Yeah.
But it's also, I kind of now understand what he was saying. Like, well, what if you're new to the franchise?
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Man, do we didn't we get one?
I was gonna say there was one in the Xbox 360 era. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I thought we
there was
did
a
get
2010
one.
Splatterhouse, but I mean that was like almost 15 years ago at this point. So
no, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was. Oh man, where was that? Man, now I'm gonna.
Because the original was like in the 80s, late 80s, right? Like
it was a reboot. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it because I remember this game and wow, 14 years ago. Oh, you made me.
But
Oh my god.
That's why the
that's launch trailer for this. God, yeah, that's exactly why it's called this. Look at this thing. This is
oh boy, state of the art.
Has been prepared. This girl.
Oh, bro, we love the gritty. We love the gritty reboot.
Gateway will open. The Dark Masters will be released.
And this was a game about being a dude in a mask, whacking people till they were bloody. And then they did this.
It was a haunted mask, and it was really just like a Jason. Like you look like Jason.
Mansion? Aw, that's so sweet. You're gonna protect me.
Yeah. She has brought another with her.
Oh man, I miss this era of video games.
He will not save her. Nothing can.
Wow. Put on the mask.
What's happened to me? We're a team now.
I've gotten buff.
I want, and I help you get your girl back.
Yeah, I mean, here you go, Dan.
Little
Go
screamo.
get your Xbox 360 out.
Rick, help me!
No! Journey!
Venom.
Any idea where we are? We're descending into hell.
Wow. I wonder how this game actually felt to play.
That looks fun. I'd play this now. You know, you mentioned this. It's funny.
All mankind, an end to all suffering, an end to all life.
Yeah? Well, fuck you.
Oh,
You
so
got him.
got him.
Wow. Wow. That is some Ozfest-ass video games.
So,
that is some video game action.
The featuring
Goat Horror. Let's go.
Look, what's interesting about this game is like this was them trying to bring it into like the modern era, and of course that was a product of its time, right? Like that's the type of video games that we were kind of looking for and whatever else. But also like there was no like it didn't take itself too seriously.
No, clearly, yeah.
I feel like all remakes, remasters have to be they take themselves a little too seriously. Am I overgeneralizing there? I feel like everything has to be like.
Yeah. You mean like have some reverence for the original?
That, or in general, just like everything wants like to be a PS2 Ultimate. We don't talk with. Oh my god, the Ultimate PS2. That was. I mean, that was a. I'm just saying, like, there feel like when we do a remaster, or remake, or whatever, reboot, you have to like, yes, take advantage of the first one, but it also has to be like, you have to make sure that it's AAA, like big deal kind of thing, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, was this like a AAA? Was that?
Well, no, this one wasn't. But now this era now is like anything that's coming out as a remake, remaster nowadays has to be like,
yeah. No, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
I don't know. So
definitely the Capcom like remakes have been for sure.
Yeah. But at the same time, this is a company. Capcom was a company that redid or remastered that Bionic Commando for a while. I mean, go watch one of those, and those feel very much like this style game, right? Like dreadlocks, like like product of the mid aughts.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, it's a good callback there, Daniel, for bringing that up. But was there any other remake remaster that we got in this state of play?
Just the Until Dawn one, and then there was also
we got the Dave the Diver coming out on PS5
with Godzilla.
With Godzilla, which I'm just excited for the Godzilla content, so that's gonna be cool.
Well, and then your favorite, the new announcement that there will be another state of play for Final Fantasy Rebirth later next week. So I guess would be the other remake.
Yeah. And then the announcement that he will be making another game. So Kojima came out.
And,
he showed his hey, I'm making a game in like 4 years from now. Be on the lookout.
Yeah, he said development will begin in earnest after Death Stranding 2 comes out, which is not until 2025, which means that game's not coming out till like 2029, like 2030 maybe. Like that's a ways out. Yeah.
Such a weird announcement. Also, so we had a big conversation pre the show talking about Kojima and his like big like his like presence in video games. But I don't want to play 9 minutes of this trailer of this
the Death Stranding trailer. Yeah,
Death Stranding
good weird moment, which is most of it.
Most of it, right? So let's kind of pull that up here. This is an interesting. So first off, can we talk about the name?
Stranding 2 on the beach.
Doesn't it feel like do you remember many years ago when there was a rumor of what the sequel to Beetlejuice was going to be?
I do not remember this.
So the sequel, the working title for the sequel for Beetlejuice was Beetlejuice 2 Goes Hawaiian. I kid you not.
Why didn't we get that?
Well, we didn't get it because we didn't get it. But like this feel like on the beach. Like this is where we like. Is this like is he sipping cocktails, sipping margarita on the beach? Like I don't know. It's such a weird like name.
I'm sure it'll have some kind of like tie-in to something that happens in the game. It'll be like, okay, I guess, sure.
Let's bring up this craziness.
If anybody in the chat has played Death Stranding, would love to hear your level of excitement for the sequel here.
Oh, I don't. Every few seconds, we're gonna get like a white text to kind of tell us.
Gotta get that prestige.
Yeah, developed.
Oh God, I do love the look of the title credits. Man, they killed it on that.
Oh yeah. Beetlejuice, let's play tennis.
Beetlejuice Electric Boogaloo. The hands is like so. I love it. I gotta be honest.
What is going on there?
It's so cool. My favorite thing about this trailer is how people like see just insane shit and then they're like, oh, okay.
Oh God, take this off. It's burning me. Got the extra pair of hands that just like move around like.
I swear I thought that was Senua's sacrifice for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, here you go. There we go.
What's happening?
Rick Moranis, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Let's go.
What?
Welcome to Drawbridge, Sam.
I love Leah
Into the
Sado.
GHV Magellan.
She's always
another
welcome.
Base of operations. Come on, I'll help you get your bearings.
I was actually
This is
surprised
the ship's armory.
by
Here you
how
can check your weapons
straightforwardly
and put them through
narrative
their
a lot of
paces.
this trailer was. Like you get like introduced to the ship,
These
you get
rooms over
introduced to the
here belong
mission.
to other
It's
members
actually a
of the
pretty
crew.
clean setup
They're
for
pretty
what
much
the
the
game's
same
going to be
as
about,
yours.
which is nothing like the original Death
shower's
Stranding
down at the
trailers, where it
end.
was like I have no idea what's happening here.
Yeah.
This is one hell of a ship you got here.
I mean, I didn't play the first one. I
Courtesy
still
of
don't
the
understand. Like, I don't.
No,
I don't know
As I
what the
told
like
you, Drawbridge is a civilian
fetuses in the jars things
we do have
are.
a
and-
Oh
generous
yeah,
patron with
yeah.
access
It's all
to
like
plenty of
weird
capital and
MacGuffins,
tech.
man.
Sounds like a UCA big shot.
God,
Don't
Norman,
ask me.
this-
We've never met face to face.
Sounds like a MCA big
They
shot.
value their privacy.
Thanks, Norman.
Seriously?
It
I'm
is
better than
the
to
sequel to
believe
the
that
Postman.
bullshit.
That is correct.
On
Orienteering.
the
It's the same
Strand.
deal as
game.
America. The people here are all spread out,
Okay,
cut off from one another.
okay.
We
Here
want
comes
you
the
to
part.
help us bring the world together.
Oh yeah.
Sam, would you mind if I joined you?
Humor him. His knowledge and experience will probably come in handy down the road.
Yes. Really, Sam? Your buttocks? What about shotgun?
I love this. I absolutely love this.
prefer the driver's seat.
What is happening? Why do we have low frame rate puppet, like 24p puppet?
Yeah, I think that's so fun about it is like that animation, like it's like
Yes.
on the 2s and the 4s, like in the way
Yeah.
the Spider-Verse movies do
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. 2 in the 4s, it's 24p. It's straight
That's
up
not
like
the plan,
24p
sir.
against
The
60p.
UCA isn't
You're gonna
looking to
notice all
expand
the
its
jars.
borders. Just like with Mexico, they want to bring new regions into the network. Anyway, the
It is
DHU
funny for a
Jones here
game
to back
with
you
this
up.
many weird characters, weird
As always, you'll be
ideas,
the one leading the
crazy
way to
like
expand the network.
cinematics.
What's
You
your role
walk.
in all this? You're the commander. Huh?
You could do a lot of this.
That's right.
What?
These days, I'm fragile in name only. You brought America
So
together.
many beats. Like,
How
okay,
did we
what do
reborn
these
as
words
the
mean?
UCA?
What is this? Now, what's the setting? Like, what is
Oh,
I'm
happening?
afraid
I mean,
Death
you could
Stranding is
quiz
far
me.
from over.
30 seconds after I watch this, I wouldn't be able to tell you a single
Humanity is still
word
in
on
danger.
any of these interstitials.
Still on the brink of extinction.
Or is this Titan? Like,
Don't act
like
like
the
you don't see.
I mean, that looks
Oh,
sick as
A lot
hell.
of things changed after you went
That
off
also
on your
looks
own,
sick as hell.
especially within the UCA.
it'll be impossible to
Which is
run
no
from
longer
because you're like
overseas to distribution.
whopping on the controller
The
trying to
literal
move.
once things
Yeah,
were up and
yeah.
running. So your friends
They
and
didn't ever
coworkers
make a
all
survival
went their
horror
separate
adaptation of
ways.
QWOP. They should have.
Within network coverage,
I'd give that a shot.
there's no need to rely on human porters anymore. So after I closed up
A
shop,
little buggy.
I went and started a new group. One that
You're thinking
handles
Monster?
work in regions outside the UCA. We decided to call ourselves Drawbridge.
With the support of the chiral network and APAS, humanity will be free from the need to move around. Bots are capable of handling
Some of this stuff
delivery.
reminds me a little bit of like Scenes in
He's
Control.
alive.
Like
He called himself a
with-
ghost, but
We found
Okay.
a way back from the beach.
Well, so
just
so
they could
Pandora,
kill
you
us.
just saw what it was called
said he came
on
back to get
screen,
revenge
on the
on you and
beach.
me.
Death Stranding 2 on the beach. But
Hey,
it
brother.
definitely did not indicate that that's what it was
You
called.
miss me.
Yeah, I figured you'd pay this place a visit, seeing as how I've been distributing the fruits of this fine
I'm Matthew
factory
Mercer.
all over the continent.
Oh, that's a good question.
Guns and
No, I think
violence,
it's
the whole damn
Troy
world
Baker.
will be yours.
Right?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Same
It
as
is
it
Troy
ever
Baker.
was.
It does remind me of Matt Mercer. That's a good call.
Yeah, physically he looks like
Looks like
Matt
you
Mercer.
decided
Matt
to
Mercer, vampire,
Trade
Joker.
in that rope for a stick this go round. Well, I suppose even a porter has to pull the trigger from time to time.
Like Matt Mercer, Alice Cooper.
Oh, what about you? Hey, buddy. Are you just another soulless little husk, huh?
Let go of me!
Oh,
Pathetic guitarist. Where's the rest of your band?
no,
I do like how campy it is.
No, I get.
The campiness is fun.
Oh, I didn't even realize that it was gold. Like it's like gold.
I
makeup.
don't think it was
Was it you that
before.
killed Lil?
You still don't know, do you?
No one knows. No one knows. And then this. I was like, did Robert Rodriguez show up and like just like guest direct this part?
I mean, I would love for that to be the case. Give me Robert Rodriguez any day. Love that dude.
Yeah. What is happening?
Yeah, I mean, Pandora, I don't think you're alone on that one. That's how a lot of people felt about Death Stranding 1, too.
Isn't that a scene from another movie?
Something he said.
Like Desperado or something? Or like
I mean, probably a few.
All right, Sam. Let's see what we can find on
What is this scene?
If you
Yeah, that's a good
answers,
question.
You're gonna have to find them yourself. But the ones you
Yeah,
do
no one
find,
can stop you from using your Guitar Hero controller. That is,
pain you nurse.
you should do that.
Right here is where I was like, oh, trailer's gonna end.
Sam the man in the dark about everything.
So that fetus that he's in it gave birth or finally like came out and it just
Yeah, so
Don't
in the
forget,
first one, the fetus
coming on
thing,
this
right? It was supposed to have been
expedition was meant to help you find the
decommissioned,
strength
and
to
he
carry
like
on.
develops an
Captain
attachment to it and saves it. So
We all know you've got this. Now it's time to finish the journey.
So then like, okay, trailer's over, right? No,
Please
there's
understand,
still
Sam.
quite a bit.
I love how those hands is also wearing like a ring.
We never
Like
meant
a
to
thumb
string
ring
you
on those
along.
hands.
That chrysalis. We found her
And then
inside.
Elle Fanning's in it.
Yeah, but this character
It
never
was
showed
filled
up in
with
the entire
fluid
trailer
that
until just
contained
now.
amino acids. One's identical in structure to the kind found in tar.
Now let's explain this whole science.
I'm sorry. There are
And
amino
I would
acids in
agree
tar,
with this. Let me put that
as
out
in
there.
proteins.
I would totally agree with this.
Of course.
I
How
think,
else did you think that chiral creatures
you know,
could emerge
Joe,
from
you and I
it?
were talking about this. I think
Some have even theorized
Kojima does
that
not
tar
care.
is a sort of
Yeah, no, of course not.
primordial
He's not
soup.
interested in like enticing new
Oh,
players.
yeah.
If they don't want it,
Sorry,
he's good with them not wanting it.
It was a hellhole.
He really makes games for himself at this
Yeah.
point. And yeah, he does.
After you left Bridges, I decided to do a little digging.
This trailer's still not over.
BB-28 was flagged.
It is
Also,
a
my favorite part is at the bottom right in a second. I think it's edited by
Long
Hideo
before
Kojima.
you and Lou first met.
And I'm like, yeah, there it goes, right there. Edited by Hideo Kojima. I was like, of course it is.
Yeah.
Because everyone else would have been like, we need to cut this. What's happening? What are we doing here?
Yeah. So that was the big one. That was the big one for the state of play.
Yeah, wow. Sure, man, go for it. Go
Yeah,
for it.
I think it's the kind of thing where like you immediately know if it's gonna be your bag or not. Like you see it's like, yep, that's gonna be my bag. I'm doing it. If not, it's not gonna be your bag. Don't worry about it.
Rose, yeah, I can see that. I mean, it's definitely not for everyone, but I think we were talking about this pre-show discussion. Kojima would make video games at one point for a company. Like he would like, I've got this new game idea, pitch it to a company like Konami. They'd go, no, we don't want that.
Yep.
And then he'd go, okay, well, how about this idea? It's like, okay, that sounds good. And then eventually he would like conform to an idea that was about selling games.
Yeah.
Kojima now is Kojima Productions on Kojima Island, and Hideo Kojima makes video games for Kojima, and like, which is fine. So all of his ideas now are just like as zany, as crazy, as like off the cuff, off the wall, which is totally cool.
Yeah,
But
I
the
mean,
point
like,
is he's not interested in bringing new people on board. I think he's interested in just making whatever he wants to see. And if you happen to hop on the bus and you enjoy the ride, come on board.
I mean,
So-
I watch a lot of like very weird sci-fi horror like movie stuff that like I know is like gonna appeal to like 12 people. But you know, like if you're one of those 12 people, it hits.
Yeah. So that's interesting. I mean, there's always super fans for everybody. I feel like
he's got a lot of them.
He's got a lot of them. He's got a big following. You really can't kind of go against the grain.
Yeah, big
But I decided to throw my hat into the like trolling universe yesterday on Threads, and I made a pretty outlandish comment. Just because I wanted to see what the reaction was, because I knew what it was going to be.
It's because you can't. You always got to stand your boy Zach. You love standing your boy Zach.
I gotta stand my boy. No. Honestly, like Zack Snyder is definitely one of those individuals that like, I enjoy for his audacity. And
yeah. I feel like I like 1 out of every 3 Zack Snyder movies, maybe 1 out of every 4.
Yeah. And so I'll post it up here real quick just so I can show it. There we go. So I put on there, massive hot take. Kojima is the Zack Snyder of video game development. Everything is just randomness. It's just a clusterfuck of cool things, and there isn't anything wrong with that. But man, Kojima gets this massive pass. Like essentially, he can do no wrong because his fans or whoever else, the industry is going to be okay with what he does. I mean, I think it speaks bounds when one of the big MCs for the industry, like Jeff Knightley,
Yeah.
Jeff Keighley runs this big like conglomeration and puts him front and center and like practically drools when he's on stage, right? Like, I mean, we saw it. He went out there and he didn't kick him off stage. He spent as long as he needed to kind of promote his new thing at his big event show. And you know, get to present, you know, Jordan Peele and all that kind of stuff, and have all of these like big announcements, and it's like, I was like, oh
yeah.
But like,
I mean, video games have always been desperate to be taken seriously, right? And they love a personality that's gonna bring in what they feel like makes them legitimate, right? And they feel like attention from Hollywood, attention from the music industry, attention from like serious critics will make video games legitimate. And I mean, like I've said before, I got nothing against Kojima. I'm excited about his stuff because I think it's interesting, but I hate that video games feel like they have to kind of prostrate themselves before the movie industry.
Yeah, we just can't. It doesn't feel as authentic anymore. It just feels like you're peacocking for.
And they are. And I mean, look, the Jeff Keighley show is a lot of peacocking wall to wall, no matter what, for sure.
No matter what. But my favorite part about it is seeing the little nuggets that the smaller developers get, all the like the limelight of the one random developer that might have like this one trailer from a new game that he just created or a new IP, and that always kind of makes me happy. So like that's why we watch it. That's why we enjoy watching that, you know, the long 3 hours of like trailers. But yeah, again, he got a big stage presence at the VGAs. He got a big stage presence at the State of Play. He had a stage presence at an Xbox event over the summer as well, where he announced like his collaboration with Microsoft and cloud gaming and whatever else. So like he's got his hands in all these buckets, but it's because he's like, I am Kojima. You want on your game. You want a game of mine on your system. And so, you know, if that's what gaming needs, then so be it. Let him be that face in game. But
well, I just had one other thing I wanted to like sort of chuck your way. Did you hear about the Spec Ops: The Line news?
Yeah, so that's a good story to bring up, man.
We're getting late here, but I didn't want to not mention this one because it was a bummer for me.
So, do you know the reason why it was pulled?
Some licensing issues is kind of all I know. That there was some like some kind of licensing issues that had expired, and I know the developer himself, like the people that worked on it, were not expecting it. The game's director was really surprised that this happened. He had no warning.
Yeah.
But it was something between 2K and
Jaeger, I think is the company.
Jaeger.
Yeah. So Spec Ops: The Line is it's a third-person shooter.
A military shooter.
A military shooter. It's actually fairly. I'm not big into military shooters. I'm not a big war like Call of Duty style game, but this one was kind of an interesting one. A good take. It's got good mechanics. It's actually fairly popular. It's got a good cult following. And so it's
it was an explicitly anti-war military shooter, which was really interesting.
Yeah. Right. That was a big narrative that it had. Right. Like, it wasn't glorifying war.
Yeah, it went in some really interesting places, and it's the kind of game that really like was landmark in how we do storytelling, especially in shooters. So it was a bummer to see it. It's been delisted from most stores.
So Steam, Xbox 360, PS3, all of the online digital stores will no longer have this game. So if you have a physical copy of this game, that's really the only way to play it, unless you've got a digital copy that you already own, in your library. Then that'll stay in your library. But for now, the game is gone. And again, this goes back to the preservation conversation that we constantly have on the show, where digital content isn't forever. Just because it exists on digital doesn't mean if a company says they can't sell it anymore, then it's gone. And so at that point, every company has to kind of acquiesce to the rights holder, and they pull it. So that's where we are. It's interesting. huge bummer for a game like that, especially when it was a game that was kind of had a good like there was
a real landmark moment.
Yeah, it was a landmark game.
I remember playing that game for the first time. It blew me away. Like it feels like it's going to be a routine kind of Call of Duty campaign, and then about a third of the way, it really takes a turn, and it starts questioning the integrity of the main character and you, the player, and everything.
And the decisions you've made in the game. Kind of
really interesting game, and some of that stuff's old hat these days, but it was definitely pretty groundbreaking then. And so to lose this piece of history,
I think I own it. I think I own it in my.
I have it somewhere on an Xbox account as well.
Yeah, I think it's in my library somewhere. So before we go, real quick, so last time we were on the show, you mentioned about a game that you were going to buy, and you didn't know if you were going to buy it, and then you bought it. So let's talk about it real quick before we end the game. You picked up a copy of Tekken 8.
Your boy has started his Tekken journey.
Oh my God, how was that? How's it been?
Honestly, fantastic. So good. I've played through the main story, which took about 4 hours, and I played through about half of them character stories, and then I've gotten through most of the arcade mode, which the arcade mode is sort of like a quasi tutorial and like sort of meta Tekken tournament thing going on. Playing a lot of Raven has been the character I've been playing the most of.
The only reason I haven't picked it up, although the character creation it looks really fun, customization. There's been so many great memes out there. But my character, my main for Tekken has always been Lei Wulong. And he's not in it, and he wasn't in Tekken 7 until some DLC, which kind of like why I picked up Tekken 7 so late. Although I played King as well, so he's
King's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so
Paul Phoenix is still doing real well in this one. I cannot comment either way on Asakusa or on Asuka. I'll leave that for you to judge.
Yeah. So she is.
She's in it.
She's in it for sure. I mean, these were the Tekken 8 trailers for all of these were great.
I mean, I'll say this: it feels amazing to play. The tutorials are great. It looks incredible. It sounds really good. I'm super happy with it right now, and I'm excited to kind of keep going deeper in.
Yeah, the fighting mechanic it definitely feels faster than Tekken 7. I played the demo, and the demo had kind of a way to unlock more characters, so I got to do that.
The character interactions are really fun.
Yeah.
The thing that I like,
it does.
Was that cracked me up about it, and this has probably always been the case for Tekken, and I just haven't been playing them. But so it's so multicultural, right? Like all of these characters from all over the world, and they all just speak their language.
They speak. Other. So that's a first. That they not all games do that. So if you were playing a character from Brazil, they will speak Portuguese. If you're playing a character from Japan, they're playing Korean. They're speaking Korean. So it's not just like all Japanese or English.
And what that means is the actual like narrative cinematic cutscenes for the story mode. It's just a dude, he's speaking in German, and then a dude speaking Japanese just responds, and they all understand each other perfectly.
They all understand each other.
It's so great. It's so nutty, and I love it. It's such a good balance of like campy fun and huge spectacle, and it just feels so good. So I'm loving it. I probably got about 12 hours into it, which is obviously not much for a fighting game, but I'm gonna keep putting it in there. So the big new addition, right, is the heat system in this one, and it's a system where you kind of get you can charge up your moves. There's a timer that you can trigger, and then while the timer is expiring, it charges up your moves and it gives you access to new moves, and then you can close it out with a big hit. And it's kind of all about like when do you time using that heat, and it's a lot of fun. It adds a nice tactical element to it.
So you said your character so far has been who?
Raven. Cat says hello. Just barged in. Just here's the cat.
Oh man, who's the character that I was interested in? There's one particular character that I'm really digging. I saw her gameplay. The coffee one. What is it?
Oh yeah. Azu. Hang on. I'm gonna. Azucena. Azucena. Azucena.
me pull her up.
Yeah, she's a Peruvian coffee maker.
She's got a fun character look, and she's a Peruvian coffee maker. It's all about her family's coffee.
And she does a lot of. She's like a dancing type character.
Yeah, very Eddie style, Eddie Gordo.
Yeah, she's.
What's going on, Tim?
And then her background here in the Andes. Occasionally, you'll see a UFO fly through. And,
oh, do you?
Which is fun.
All right.
So last year, I picked up the new Street Fighter, and I played that for a while with that new RPG mode.
Loved it.
And it was really good. I'm finding this, which is surprising because the move list is so much more complicated in Tekken or Street Fighter, but I'm finding this to feel more accessible and natural to me as like a fighting game novice. Which I'm really appreciating. And I'm thinking maybe after I put some more time in this, I'll go back to Street Fighter and see how that feels.
Tekken's all about timing. There's a rhythm to it. It's not about just mashing buttons. If specific moves, you've got to forward, down, hold, and then
right.
What people are familiar is there's the star icon when you're looking at the combos. The star means you have to pause. There is a rest that needs to happen there.
Yep.
And so big fighting game fan, and Tekken in general has always been one of those. It's a different feel. You really have to, if you're into button mashing on a Street Fighter, Tekken is more about timing. It's definitely, and each character has a different feel, right?
Yeah. There's a really strong sense of momentum to all the movements. The positioning feels so important. It's a lot of fun.
Yes, an Eddie player will smash buttons, but an Eddie player that doesn't smash buttons and plays with the rhythm of Eddie, which is interesting, is everyone thinks that you can just smash buttons with him and it works, but that's only because he is a fast player. So button mashing works with him, but there is a rhythm to him that makes you can be even better with him. And you can counter anyone that's button mashing with Eddie very easily.
Yeah, I mean, so right now I'm enjoying this probably more than any fighting game I've played since Soul Calibur 6 or Soul Calibur. I can't remember the last Soul Calibur.
Yeah, 6.
It's good. It's good stuff. So if you pick it up, man, we can. I'll see.
I'm going to pick it up.
See online.
I'm a big coffee drinker, so I'm just yeah.
Yeah. So every one of her things, she's advertising her coffee. She's
advertising her coffee.
She's a real influencer, man.
Oh, it's just a hilarious character. So yeah, go check it out. That just launched last week. So if you're interested, I mean, it's got a pretty deep gameplay. There's a lot of content there.
A lot of
modes, which is refreshing for most fighting games these days, because most people just there's an arcade mode and that's it. And I think Street Fighter 6 and this both have really shown that you can put a lot of content in the game. They're making it worth your money.
Mortal Kombat 2.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat 1 is great story mode, great all of that stuff. All right, folks, thank you so much. Hour and change here. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week. Again, if y'all want to talk about anything, let us know. I am on Threads and Twitter, Mid-Geek Crisis. I think you're going to be streaming probably some gameplay this week.
Yeah, I'm going to try. Work's been killing me.
Yeah.
So
I know you were busy
this weekend, but hopefully February is better to us.
Yes, February is better. Thank you so much for joining us, spending your Thursday night. And no problem, Rolls. Thanks so much. We'll catch you next time. Yeah, I can't think of anything else outside of
That's about it. That'll do it.
Okay. Take care, everyone. Have a good rest of the week. Another episode in the can. Bye.